Right now is possibly the best time to buy a house if you're a first-time home buyer, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. But I get it, I'm sure some of you guys are skeptical given the buying frenzy we're dealing with, people offering over $100,000 over ask in some cases, people waiving their appraisal contingencies, and some even waiving their inspection contingencies. I'm also sure you've seen a lot of experts talking about how a housing market crash is just around the corner and how things are gonna start turning around for the worse, and I want to warn you guys, don't get caught up in the hype. What's up guys, it's James Allen, the Out-of-State Investor, and the reality is that nobody knows when a housing market crash is going to happen, no matter what kind of expert they are, and in fact nationwide housing market crashes have really only happened 2 times in the last 100 years. So rather than betting all your money on a housing crash in 2022, I want you guys to consider the potential upside you could be missing out on and why I personally believe that now could be the best opportunity for you guys to buy a house if you're a first-time home buyer. Now before I get started, do me a favor and smash that like button. That just helps other people be able to find this video. And in addition to that, if you haven't already done so, you're going to want to subscribe and hit that notification bell to watch more videos like this, with videos on real estate, videos on personal finance, and just in general, how to build massive wealth. And with that said, let's jump into it. Alright, so there are 6 reasons I want to go over today why I believe now could be the best time for you guys to be buying a house if you're a first-time home buyer. And the first reason is all-time low interest rates. Borrowing money has never been as cheap as it is today. You can go back to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, whatever decade you want to look at, and you'll find that there's never been a time when interest rates and borrowing money has been as cheap as it is today. Now I get it, housing prices have definitely gone up a lot higher than they were in recent years, but at the same time, even with housing prices going up the way they have, the monthly payments have actually not gone up that much compared to a few years ago. So quickly, let's just compare 2021 to 2018. In 2021, right now, we're at a median sales price of $358,000, whereas back in 2018, we had a median sales price of $267,000. So quite a big difference. Now, the interest rate right now is at 2.84% on average, whereas in 2018, we were talking about a 4.55% interest rate. So let's say I did a 5% down payment on a 2018 medium priced house and a 5% down payment on a 2021 medium priced house. Well, the monthly payment on a 2018 house would be $1,293, whereas the monthly payment on a 2021 house would actually only be $1,405. So it's not that big of an increase. You're talking about maybe $110 difference. So to put it in perspective, over the last 3 years, housing prices nationwide on average have gone up 34%. However, monthly payments have only gone up 8.7%. Number 2 is it's a really good hedge against inflation. Now, it's no secret that the government has been spending trillions and trillions of dollars between the stimulus packages, between buying mortgage-backed securities. We've been printing a lot of money, and the result of that is we've been experiencing a lot of inflation. So you can protect the value of your money by simply putting that money into housing. And in addition to that, if you're borrowing that money at only a 2 to 3% interest rate and inflation is going up at over 5%, then you're almost getting paid to borrow money. Number 3 is that there's more supply on the market. Now, obviously compared to years past, there's not that much supply on the market, but if you compare it to 6 months ago when the market was going nuts, it's no longer at that point. There's been more supply on the market since then, and so what that does is it's kind of shifted it a little bit more in favor of the buyer to where maybe you don't need to waive an appraisal, where you don't need to waive an inspection period in order to win a property. And so that makes it in a situation where you have a little more negotiating power, where you have a little less risk on the table in order to buy a property. You also have better chances with an FHA loan now, which is great because 6 months ago, sellers weren't even considering anybody with an FHA loan because they had so many cash buyers and qualified conventional buyers that are way more likely to close, so they would go with those offers. But if you're running with an FHA loan, now's the time that you can finally get an opportunity to get your offers accepted. In addition to that, now that there's finally more supply on the market, you can actually find a house maybe that gets closer to your buying criteria. Depending on who you are, you may have had a specific set of criteria of what you were specifically looking for, and some people I know personally had to make a little bit of sacrifice and kind of accept maybe not 100% of what they wanted. Well, now that there's a little bit more supply than there was before, now you have a little more selection of choice to where you might be able to get exactly what you want. And like I said, overall, it's still a low supply, which is good because if it's getting too much of a supply, then yes, we are getting in danger of a housing correction or maybe a slowdown of some sort, but it's low enough to where the prices are still going up at a very rapid pace. At the same time though, it's low and it's high enough, that you still get a selection of choice more than you did 6 months ago. The fourth reason why now is the best time to buy as a first-time home buyer is if you plan on living in the house for at least 7 years or longer. Now let me explain what I mean by that. You severely mitigate the risk of your downside risk if you live in the house for over 7 years, because you have time to pay down your mortgage, build equity for 7 years, and in addition to that, it gives you time to, in a worst case scenario, ride out a correction or a crash in an absolute worst case scenario to where you don't come out where you're underwater on your mortgage. Now let's say you don't want to live in the house for a long time. Well, the alternative to that is just rent out the house. When you finally decide to move out, let's say you buy a house, you move out of the house in about 2-3 years time, just hold on to that property as a rental property, and that's still giving you that protection. You're still mitigating the risk against a downturn or a crash because you're renting it out and you're holding for the long run, so a crash isn't really going to do anything if you're getting that monthly cash flow on that property. And this is what I do with my personal residences is I'll buy a house, I'll live in it for maybe a year or two, and then I'll rent it out. And those houses can sustain themselves even after all expenses and probably give me a little bit extra cash flow on top of that. And what that does is it gives me the ability to multiply my ability to build wealth. And this is because I'm getting appreciation on multiple houses now versus just the one house that I bought in the first place. And in addition to that, I don't have to worry about a market crash or correction because I plan on holding these houses for the long term. The fifth reason why now is the best time to buy a house if you're a first-time home buyer is you're financially ready to do it. What I'm talking about when I say that is you have an emergency fund in place, preferably at least 3 months of living expenses put aside in a bank account for a rainy day. In addition to that, you also have money saved for a down payment. Now for a down payment, you only need 3% down for a conventional loan or 3.5% down for an FHA loan. So on a $300,000 house, you're talking anywhere from $9,000 to $10,500 for your down payment. Also, if you're trying to wait for that housing crash to happen, I want to warn you that not only do you have to time it perfectly with the market as far as where the bottom is, but in addition to that, it's not uncommon that banks make it a lot harder to borrow money, which means that if you're trying to time it perfectly, you might not even qualify for that mortgage that you want when the housing prices are at rock bottom. So the point is when you're finally in a financial position to where you can comfortably afford a house, to where you have that down payment saved up, you have the emergency fund in place, it works within your income and expenses, that's the time to take advantage and actually pull the trigger because you want to get on the property ladder as soon as you can, and I'll tell you why right now. The sixth reason to buy a house right now is it's a powerful wealth builder. You see, the earlier you get in the game, the better, because the average homeowner versus the average renter, this was an article that came out in 2019, and the average homeowner has a net worth of $255,000, whereas the average renter only has an average net worth of $6,300. You see, that's a pretty big difference if you think about it, $255,000 versus $6,300. And a big part of why you're able to build so much wealth just with simply buying a house is called leverage. Leverage gives you the ability to control a lot of assets, a lot of investment, which is what a house is. It's really an investment, right? And you can control so much of it with such little down. So you can put down a 3% down payment on a $400,000 property. So that means you're going to put a $12,000 down payment in order to get appreciation on $400,000. So if housing was going to go up 10%, that means on $400,000 you'd gain $40,000 on that $12,000 investment. We're talking about hundreds of percent return on investment, and that's how homeowners are able to get so much farther ahead than a typical renter. Now, speaking of renters, I should mention that rents have also been going up at record pace recently. I'm talking over 10% in just the last year alone. And what that means is essentially you're going to be paying more money out of pocket every year as increases happen with rent. Whereas the positive side of home ownership is your monthly mortgage payment is never going to change if you're on a fixed 30-year rate. What you pay year 1 is what you're going to pay year 20, year 25. Whereas with a renter, your rent is going to go up every single year. So overall, I think there are a lot of good reasons, as you can see, to take advantage of buying in today's housing market. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you gained some value from it, do me a favor and smash that like button. And if you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell well. Also, let me know in the comments what you think. Are you looking to buy a house right now? Let me know in the comments below. Finally, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Out of State Investor. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.